Welcome to Alpha Wolf Capital. I'm Tim, and I want to personally thank you for stopping by. This channel is designed to help small companies, both public and private, gain exposure with potential consumers, investors, even partners. Take, for example, today's guest, Todd McKnight, Director of Media Relations for AXIL Brands Inc. AXIL is on a mission to be the global leader in all-in-one hearing protection and enhancement. AXIL enables hearing protection by filtering loud noises while simultaneously allowing for enhanced hearing on normal volume sounds. AXIL has first mover advantage in a category where they provide a product that potentially saves lives for our first responders, security, our war fighters, and the like. This is an impact product, but I'm going to let Todd tell you more about that in just a moment. This is not to be taken as investment advice. I am not a certified financial planner. This is for education and entertainment purposes only. I encourage everyone to do their own due diligence. Hey everybody, Tim from Alpha Wolf Capital coming at you with a brand new company, and it is a unique situation for this brand new company. But I like the product, and I can prove that I have the product somewhere. Oh, here it is. It's actually AXIL is the ticker symbol, and they make not just earbuds but hearing protection, right? With some patented technology. And here to talk about that is Todd McKnight, who is the director of media relations, right?
That's
Todd?
right. Thanks so much for having me here, Tim. It's really a pleasure to spend some time and get to know your audience a little bit.
So just to give everybody a little bit of background on how I got here was originally was from you contacting me and saying, "Hey, you should check out this company, Axle." Right? And
Yeah,
I have a background in the construction industry, and I think back in the construction trade, those little plugs, those foam plugs. I mean, boxes upon boxes upon boxes of those things to protect people's hearing. Right? There's not been a lot of innovation there over the years. It's been different colors, different shapes of the foam inserts, but really not a lot of innovation there. So when you brought up Axle, and then I went and actually checked it out, right? And they're very big in the in shooting ranges, right? I mean, anything where they're shooting a gun, right? Where you've got a loud sound really close. And what makes this a hearing protection is the way it compresses or suppresses the sound, the loud sound that is near your ear, right? Is that kind of accurate?
yeah. Fortunately, we've been recognized. We're the official hearing protection for the U.S. Olympic shooting and Paralympic shooting teams in this last Olympics and the next. So it's a natural fit because even in construction, a lot of people get hearing damage in the concert industry, entertainment. We what was very exciting to me from day one about Axel is the team. Jeff Tagre, the CEO and one of our largest shareholders, has this great financial controls background and knew the founder, Weston Harris, who, I guess I kind of looked at him sort of the Steve Jobs of hearing protection. It came from a multi-generational family business of the hearing aid industry, recognized an opportunity to create a product that can protect your hearing. And they went after it with design and technology, but also maintain your situational awareness, which is a huge deal for a first responder, police, military, or really anybody. Imagine all the accidents that could be avoided, on a construction site, when you're able to communicate with your team in real time, but also not, hear that jackhammer in the background. Um, there's tremendous damage that happens. Concert industry, musicians, this is such a huge space. So they've attacked it and approached it. I'd say probably 5+ years before anybody else began to think about hearing protection and enhancement at the same time.
So, what's the secret sauce, the proprietary technology that they have is describe that for me.
Yeah, we've all heard about noise canceling. Noise canceling's been a thing for a very long time. What they do is they have active hearing protection. So there's sensors that are out there, million pulses a second, listening for changes in high decibel, levels. And as soon as they detect that, they kind of clamp it down and digitally compress the sound. So that's their differentiation. And they've got a handful of patents around that technology, and they continue to grow the patent portfolio as the generations of new product have come on board. And like I said, we're excited because we're getting recognition by NASCAR, another multi-generational brand. Sig Sauer is one of the top providers of military equipment to the U.S. and other jurisdictions in the world. They're, I believe, an Austrian company, very popular company. I mean, so they've got a lot of brand loyalty, and we're working closely with them with the co-branding on NASCAR. We just picked up Feld Entertainment that puts on about 4 million tickets a year to their Monster Jams is one of their brands, but they put on a lot of events. They're big, so we're really excited. Another company that does hundreds of millions in sales online has now allowed us to co-brand with them because they recognize this is a unique product.
Right. And when I looked at it, that's when I started thinking about the opportunity that lies ahead. And then they came into town for the SHOT Show, and I went down and took a look at the booth and just kind of observed to see what clients or customers were. I mean, it was an active booth. There was a lot of activity there, and a lot of people that were just very enamored with the product, right? So, and then I just started thinking about the opportunity that does lie out there for you guys in the construction industry, right? Um,
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's an exciting look. Anywhere where somebody's exposed on a daily basis. You're talking about factories. Um,
Anybody that's got any kind of potential, like you said, concert venues. You're working security at a concert venue. You got these things blasting in your next to your eardrums. That's probably not a real good thing to have to deal with all the time, right? It's going to damage your hearing.
Without question, the mining industry, there's just heavy equipment all over that industry, and it's very important to be able to communicate with your team. So we have options that are Bluetooth, we have options that are passive, non-electronic, with some incredible filtering technology that you can keep a certain amount of open to hearing so there's a lot of different things we've been working on to address different price points, different markets, and
So
we've
here's
got
the unique thing: the founder, which is still with the company, is tied to hearing aid and hearing aid products, right? And
he
that's
he he was
that's
he was grew up in that industry, and he recognized a couple of pretty important factors. First off, he recognized that middle-aged men who might have worked in some of these industries, they don't want to wear a hearing aid in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. He recognized an opportunity to help more people have access to hearing. So he kind of had this vision. Hey, I love what Oakley did with sunglasses. I'd love to have that on earbuds. And somebody, people all the time are walking around with their AirPods on, their earbuds on. So it's totally normal thing. Over the last 10 years, it's become pretty standard. And you see people, walking and talking to themselves, but no, they're on the phone. They're talking to family, friends, doing work, business. So this is a very socially acceptable way for somebody to experience about 6 times better hearing than their natural, up to 6 times, and 8 times on the over-the-ear stuff, which I would say a lot of the military is going to want to use. And having situational awareness, but there's a lot of people that have been using this, and they're getting a good experience, because being able to communicate in any job, in any field, while you're protecting your long-term health is important.
Absolutely. And that's what, so, anybody that follows me knows that I look for companies that are not just, I look for companies that solve not a want, but need, right? So I think protecting your hearing is a need without question, right? And as an old guy who's I know I have terrible hearing. I'm one of those guys that is not going to wear a hearing aid, right? Because number one, the hearing aids themselves, that whole industry, I think, is just, it's a ripoff in my mind, right? It's $3,000 to $7,000 for a hearing aid set, right? I can't see it when you got. Now I think I paid what, $199 or something like that for these $200.
Yeah, we're trying to make it an approachable, affordable product
Yeah,
that, hey, if you're out there, if you're doing a lot of things where you're going to be exposed to sound, and this is meant to do multiple things.
absolutely, and
So
it does it extremely well.
yeah,
And the quality of sound. I mean, look, if you ask me, I mean these sound fantastic. I love them. Right, the quality of sound is great for me on these things. Right,
excellent. Yeah, we've gotten
uh,
good feedback for sure.
and it does enhance the hearing. So I mean, that's a double whammy for me. Right, if they last long, I don't have to charge them you know every 2 hours, which I don't even know if I've actually charged these things yet since I started using them. Right? I don't think I have actually. I don't think I've charged them once, but probably need to do that. I think I'm going to plug them in right now.
Well, they've done an incredible job with the product, and I was fortunate also. I wish I saw you out at the SHOT Show, but I got to spend time with the design team, and they're always looking to innovate. And I'm very excited because they did beat the market to the hearing protection and enhancement side of this opportunity. And just having good earbuds, right, is like you said, it's a product that everybody uses and needs. And if you can do 2 things, 3 things at once, more power to you. And
Yep.
it's exciting that they've been able to get ahead of the curve a little bit.
Todd, how big is the TAM on this?
I'm sorry.
How big is the
The
TAM?
total annual market. Well, we hearing aid market is absolutely tremendous. It's in the billions. Um, the thing is, we're kind of developing a new market, and so it's really tough to say. But you know, do we see it getting into the hundreds of millions for a piece of it that we could potentially grab here? I certainly think that's a reasonable expectation. We don't have guidance on revenue yet, and we're far from that. We're in the high 20s right now, but this is a new market. People are discovering this, and like you said, the construction industry, a lot of the players have not focused on hearing protection, and it's an opportunity. It's an open door for us, and I think we're a first mover. So we're going to figure it out over the next couple of years how big this market can get, and aligning ourselves and having brands that are generational and very well established, top tier, approaching us is something it's hard to find in microcap, and it's hard to find the financial discipline in microcap We've got a CEO who's not taking a
So
salary.
that's where I was going to go. So
Yeah.
you had the founder who, and this has always been the issue with capital markets, with publicly traded companies. You have someone that understands their business extremely well, like the founder here, right? They understand hearing and hearing protection. They do not understand the capital markets and how they function, right?
No,
And that,
certainly not as well as the team that as a whole, and they recognize that. Jeff Tagre and Weston knew each other over the years, and I think he recognized Weston recognized an opportunity to get to a major exchange in partnership with somebody who's got the financial controls, that the right team behind him from legal. I haven't met many companies, and I've been doing this a long time. I've helped some great companies list and uplist over the years. Some of them have been taken out in the billions. So we've had a couple of really fortunate wins over the years. I haven't met many that did the direct list, or did it without that banking element in the middle, which has been challenging. 2021 was a decent year for IPOs. The markets were flush with some cash from the quantitative easing and the COVID response. But after that, I think there was a little bit of a lost period there from late 22 in microcap through even right now. It's not as robust as it's been. It's picking up, and that's good to see that there was a little bit of a recovery, but it's been difficult, I feel, for banks to find the quality of money that most founders are looking for long term. And I feel like the markets have been a little bit of spoiled by the high volatility that COVID created. Then you put in all this cash. So the potential for high returns has been incredible in a short period of time. And it's harder to find that quality of shareholder. This is why I love this company, because I want to be ahead of that quality. I want to be that quality of shareholder that looks at this in a 5 year. Um, Not that we need 5 years to succeed. They're making money now. I mean, their last quarter they put over $1 million onto the balance sheet in positive cash flow, which is challenging for any microcap company. And they were able to actually conduct a stock buyback. And the founder is, I think he showed great loyalty to the shareholders by allowing some of his shares to be purchased and reduce dilution from a potential of about 18.5 million shares. It's now fully diluted to about 8.5 million shares, with a little over six outstanding. Lots of it in the insiders' hands. Um, like I said, the CEO in microcap, I've really haven't experienced this in a project that I've been involved with, where the CEO he gets some stock options, but he's not taking a salary. He's more excited about what can we put to the bottom line for the greater good of the shareholders.
so give us a little background on the current CEO and how he got involved here.
Yeah, Jeff Tagre has assembled. He's a team builder, and he's recognized some opportunities, and he assembled a fantastic online team led by Don Vasquez. Don's got great history of taking a handful of companies from sub 10 million revenue to over 100 million in revenue. And assembled his own team, great guys from with Google ad experience, etc. These guys know what they're doing. So they initially saw AXIL as a potential consulting client, and saw that people love this product. They've got great brand loyalty, high ratings. So when they started targeting the ad space, primarily through Meta, they're experts there as well. Facebook ads, they did incredibly high return on ad spend from the initial onset. You know what? A lot of people come looking for us because of these great brand associations, and we're not afraid to spend money on advertising. And I think our partners appreciate that. So they can predict revenue growth relatively strong correlations in predicting return on ad spend, et cetera. They've got this kind of down to a science, and they're always refining. Things change. Meta has changes sometimes in their algorithms and classifications. You have to be able to maneuver in this industry. And what the company's recently announced is they're looking for a shift to diversify revenue. So they spent a lot of money and time to markets that began to gravitate towards us, like Europe. There's a decent demand that some of our military distributors have recognized over there, and it was a compliance process of close to 2 years to get products into that market. So they put out in that release about trying to get to about 30% of our revenue in international directs, through distribution and distributors and sales. And fortunately, Tim, I don't know if the booth was very busy, and I a lot of people want to sell this product globally, and it was close to 1,000, I want to say, potential new distributors that showed up at that show, and we put everybody through a process of what makes sense for the company, where to focus our efforts. And I feel like they've done a great job, because their goal is to get to about 30% brick and mortar, 30% international, and maybe approximately 40% online. When they came in strong on the online space, we were over 90%. But getting recognition from these big brands and some of the big box stores like Bass Pro Shops, Cabela's Outdoor, Shields in the Midwest, Walmart, we're really excited about some of the recognition we're getting from big box, and it takes time. These things don't happen overnight. So we feel like we're getting momentum, and we can see a nice diversification of revenue.
Right. And just to be clear, you still have, or they still have the, this is the,
Very much so.
this
This is
is
huge
my
for them.
takeaway from going to the booth. And I like to, besides testing out the product for myself, I want to see what the team is like, right? I understand leadership, right? I understand Jeff is a smart fiscal guy, but I also want to know that he's a good leader, right? And I nobody knows who I am. I go to the booth, I get helped right away. I asked, I think 2 or 3 times, can I help you? Is there anything you need? Right. And then Falcon is the guy that I wound up speaking with. And he happened to be the B2B sales guy, right? And I asked him his background, and his background was hearing aid related and very knowledgeable about the product, passionate about the product, passionate about the need for the product. It was just an all around, A plus experience as a consumer, them not knowing anything about me, who I was, what I was looking to do, nothing, right? That's always a very positive thing to me, right? Because you have your employees that have bought into the vision of they want to be the dominant player in this space, right?
Absolutely.
We talked about potential opportunities where I asked him where he saw opportunity for growth. And then I asked him, what do you think about the construction industry? I mean, it was just a very good, constructive conversation. I mean, I think was it the last day of the show? I think it was the last day of the show. Usually at the last day of the show, things are starting to wind down. People just want to get the hell out of there, right? I mean, that's how it works at those conventions. I mean, it's like been 3 or 4 days of I'm on my feet all day long. I really just want to go home, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
And that was not what I got. Not even a hint of that from Falcon, right? This guy was pumped, and it's the last day of the show, like a few hours before it's over, right? All good stuff to me, right?
Absolutely. They've got a talented team. Falcon is on point. Tyler Smith runs the sales team. These guys are dedicated. They do. They love the product. They travel all the time, and they're working very hard. We're going to do tremendous amounts of events around NASCAR, safety events, all these. There's a lot of opportunity here. So I was fortunate to spend some time at NASCAR at one of the first events with them, and you can see it's such an opportunity. I want to say there was over 100,000 fans in the audience at Daytona the day we were there for the Coca-Cola 400. Awesome opportunities to help people have a better experience, and you can communicate is also a real important thing. You can even take a phone call at a NASCAR race, and actually get by. It's pretty incredible.
It
Something,
is.
yeah. So they
I
really found something. They found this niche, and it's not small. Like you said, we don't want to. Oh, we're billions and trillions or market. No, I mean we're going to figure it out. But is it looking to be something in the hundreds of millions? Bringing more and more of our process to the United States. It's always been designed here. So this is 3 years ago. It's been an effort to, produce in Utah as much as we can, and we're going to continue to try to. They put that into a recent announcement. I don't know if you had a chance to read through it, but this is important to us, and it's not something that we thought about yesterday because of tariffs. So no, we've been working on this for several years. So
Right. So you're to a point where you're somewhat confident you can get 50% of your production in done in the US. Is that correct?
we're not there yet. I mean, look, I don't want to speculate. Let's just
Okay.
let's just do it. And we've been quietly spending some of the capital on that innovation, and some of the capital on expanding what we can do and expanding our space in Utah. There, we've got headquarters now in Beverly Hills, and just a great team of experts around the country that are good at what they do. They're looking for the highest return on any investment we make in ads, or you know for example, we had some learning curve. This is like anything else. It was extremely important for us with NASCAR to make money at these races. We weren't sponsoring a team, right? Okay, nothing against that. I think it's a great model, and it works for big companies. But when you're small and you need to maneuver and you need to grow, you want to make money at every opportunity you get. And this is an ideology that Jeff Tagre brings to the table extremely well. And they want to have a long-term deal, long-term life cycle with NASCAR and with Monster Jams and with these companies that we're partnered with, because if you're not making money consistently at an event, why get to the
Why would
event?
you want to be there?
It's
Right.
not going to work. It's so they're very focused on this financial discipline, and it's I think it's the difference. It's the thing you just don't you see it happen sometimes in billion-dollar companies. A lot of times you don't see it in billion-dollar companies either, and they end up going by the wayside and
Right.
taking on debt. This is a company that has no debt, to speak of. I mean, probably some short-term payables that happen, in the normal course of business, but long-term debt. This is nothing they even look to consider, and that financial discipline is hard to find in a approximately $50 million company. It's hard to find something in my space. I felt like I've been waiting 2 decades for one of these, and I'm really happy to be part of it and excited about it.
So one of the things that Falcon went out of his way to tell me was that they're very cognizant of customer reviews and you know uh, all of you know the bottom line is he was letting me know that they're constantly working on improving the product, right? It's not like it's one and done. It's constant progression into making it better, right? I would say
Hundred
that most
percent,
people, what's that?
100%. I mean, they're learning from the best. Look at Apple.
Right.
Generational sales, generation one, generation next. They're thinking several generations ahead,
Right.
always.
And
And how
I would say most people are completely unaware because I had no clue that there were earbuds out there that would enhance my hearing. I had no clue about that, right? So when I heard it, was like, that makes so much sense to me, right? Why would I want a regular earbud? Why wouldn't I want something that protects my hearing and also enhances it, right?
It makes a lot of sense, Tim. And, the fact that they're the first mover is a big deal. And
It is a big deal.
it's hard to develop the infrastructure to get to tens of millions in revenue in just such a short period of time. Where a company's been able to do it directly listing without that intermediary and the banking, they just don't come in cash flow positive like that often. And
Right.
even the ones that do usually raise money. They usually come there to raise money for another acquisition. And you know, in my opinion, you always go and look to raise money when you're overvalued. And
Right.
I certainly don't feel we're there yet.
Hey there, folks. Want to go over the chart here real quick on AXIL. After listening to Todd and what he has to say about the management team, them being fiscally responsible, anti-dilutive, I think there's a lot of positive things happening here. So let's take a look at the chart and what has recently happened. So you got kind of a cup with handle formation right here. You can see the cup, and this would be the handle, right? What's interesting is that when we had this is right after the SHOT Show that was here in Las Vegas, had a nice little pop up and came up right into resistance right around 10.50, 11 bucks. And you've got resistance, it's really, you got resistance at just under 7. Now, when this popped, it had a gap on the daily. Now, all gaps don't have to fill. Typically, they do fill. So you had a big volume run up into resistance, which is pretty significant resistance. Then you had a pullback in the volume, and you had a pullback in the stock. You close the gap, and you go back and you retest previous support, which was right around $4. Now we've bounced back up. Volume is picked back up again. And really what we could see here is we could see just a consolidation right around $6, right? That would actually be very healthy action. So what I ideally wish I would have had a limit buy-in at around $3.99. You bet, I do. However, I didn't. And as I look at it now, I say, okay, I could take a starter position here, right around $6, knowing that potentially we could go back down and test that $4 area. If throughout my due diligence, I find that I like the company more and more, and that I think that the thesis is intact, then if it pulls back to 4, that would be an area where I would add, right, and bring my dollar cost average down. So starter position, I'm certainly not going all in at 6, with the anticipation that if we get weakness in the overall market, we get a pullback in the stock, that right around 4 would be a place I would look to add. Now, that's keeping in mind that through my due diligence, I am more and more convinced that this is a good play, right? So what's my risk reward? If I take it here at 6, and I know that the downside is $4 or $3.90, so I'm risking what? $2, right? And that's if I'm going to exit at 4. I'm probably not. That would be where I would look to add. So I would be building my position. Remember, I'm an investor. I'm not a trader. So I'm looking for a multi-bagger. So if I can add shares at $4, that'd be fantastic. But if I never get that opportunity, if it never pulls back to 4, at least I'm participating in the stock, right? By taking it at 6, I don't feel as though I'm overpaying. I'm right in where there's an area of support. And the upside is really to that $10.50, $10.60, right? So 4 and change. $2 risk to the downside to go to 4, and $4.50 to go up to the upside to that target. So that's what I'm looking at right now. And I think the chart has an interesting look. I would not be surprised if it consolidates here for a little bit, and then maybe looks to take that next move up. All right. I'm looking at the chart and I'm thinking to myself, so you just came down and you tested that $4 mark, which was a previous area of support, essentially, right?
Yep.
You had the pop up to over 10, and that was on pretty good volume. And and then you pulled back on lower volume, right? And now the
I would
volume's
say
starting to
much
pick
lower.
up
It's
again.
starting to pick up again. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're seeing signs of life. Now, the overall, and I'm sure you are fully aware of this, the small and micro cap space has been getting annihilated for basically 5 years. It's been painful, right? I mean, I've never been in as long as the duration of this pool in the small and micro cap space, I've never experienced one this long in duration. I don't know about you, but it's been rough, right?
Since mid 2021, I feel like it's been very rough. Capital formation has been rough for microcap.
Yep.
Fortunately, we came into this thing with positive cash flow and nice growth, so that wasn't our issue. Which to me is one of the important factors that made me find a home in this stock. I really I believe in this company. I believe their success will happen with or without me, which is what you really want in a stock, right?
Right.
You don't want to be the driving force, but look, you want companies that are going to make it. They're taking over a space and creating a space that's innovative and it's exciting. And
It's innovative. It fills a need. In a need that a lot of people probably don't pay as much attention to as they should, which is protecting their hearing, right?
you know, I've done some work in biotech, and I started, working with some companies about 5 years back that are in the mental health. And one of the things they're starting to talk about is the correlation between hearing loss and dementia, because staying active and communicating is key to longevity. And
Yep.
having difficulty in communications, they're still figuring this out, but you will find stuff on the NIH where they're starting to get studies out there about this stuff. So I'm not just pulling it out of left field. If you do a little look on it, look it up. There are some studies going on and theories out there that this is potentially detrimental to your long-term mental health and well-being, and potentially can bring on earlier stages of dementia. Maybe
I can
yeah.
absolutely see this, and I'll tell you why. Because I didn't protect my hearing. I went to a lot of rock concerts. I rode a Harley. I
There
mean,
you go.
everything I pretty much did was loud. Uh, and I'm paying for it now. I have the ringing in my ears, right? Which is, I mean, that in itself could drive a person crazy. When you start to get that ringing in your ears, that what it's tinnitus, or
Yeah,
it's it'll drive you nuts, right? So quality of life is, I would say, is key to being able to hear well and not have that ringing in the ear that I have. That I mean, I wish I would have taken better care of my ears, right? And I think,
you're very normal, Tim. This is, we take our health for granted. This is what we do, and we go to these loud concerts now. I mean, sometimes you come out with a headache, right?
yeah,
Now, the good thing is this is not something we do for a living. Imagine getting exposure to that same environment every day, and
right.
this is where I see safety and long term longevity in your job, in your career. If you're mixing up music for rock concerts and you're working the boards, they've done a good job. They have specialized equipment for that I'm sure people are using. but your ordinary vendor in the crowd is going to be overlooked, probably security and all the the band, what goes into one of those big productions, it's incredible.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of people getting exposed to these in and outs, and potentially every day, every day in, day out, having damage. So we want to be part of the preventative measure. We want people to have that ability to communicate with their team, and the perfect financial discipline. A tight company, like you said, 8.5 million fully diluted. It's a little over 6.1 or 2 million shares outstanding right now, with tremendous insider ownership from what you see in a lot of companies these days.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, I think the other thing too, because of my background with the construction industry and the fact that you guys haven't really solidified a solid position there yet, I see that as a massive opportunity for you guys.
It's not because we're not working on it, Tim. So I feel like we've got a lot of irons in the fire,
Yeah.
and that's what growth is about. That's what the upside is about. So I'm happy that we're getting great brands, like I said, generational brands to give us recognition.
Yep.
And I think that will continue. I think the use cases for, construction, mining, manufacturing, concert venues, they're just coming. And I feel like we're right on the cusp of some of these exciting potential opportunities to come to fruition.
All right. So let's break this down real quick. No debt or very little debt. Very focused, um very seasoned team, right?
100%.
Uh a brand new category that you guys are really creating. First to move, first to mark, or first mover advantage. Uh a clean cap table, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
This
Hard to
this
find. I feel like I've been waiting a couple of decades here, Tim.
so
So
this is the kind of one. I mean, look, I don't tell anybody what to do, what to buy or sell. That's not what I do. What
exactly.
I
Yeah.
simply do is say, look, here's an opportunity that I think you're finding it at the early stages, right? You've got validation from major brands. You've got international exposure, right? We didn't even talk about the potential for military contracts, right? But there's a whole
Yeah.
lot of things there to contemplate, right?
Without question. And that announcement on getting more U.S. It's all about first responder, military, police, fire. Where you want to communicate, where there's a lot of chaos and loud things going on. It's very important, and it's life saving. In the long term.
And that's one of the things that I love. That's why I say it's a need product, not a want product, right? If this product can help save a life, what is it worth, right?
Exactly. Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. I'm sure. Insurance companies can figure this sort of thing out and make recommendations to a construction company when this gets discovered. In my opinion, I don't want to speculate on that, but these are the types of things that you look for by being an early mover and just being ahead of the crowd a little bit.
If I was Milwaukee Power Tool or DeWalt Power Tool, who has cordless tools, right?
Sure.
Uh, if I was looking at this and I was saying, okay, 3M has kind of stumbled, the foam earplugs really aren't the way to go. And I guarantee you, construction workers wear earbuds on job sites, right? They're listening to music or whatever.
Sure.
Those aren't hearing protection, they're earbuds, right? But
Correct.
if I was Milwaukee or DeWalt, I would say, I want to have the hearing protection. So if they're yellow and the OSHA guy walks on the site and he knows that the yellow earbuds are actually hearing protection and all other color earbuds are not hearing protection, I would want that hearing protection to be either DeWalt yellow or Milwaukee red, right?
I love it. I love it.
Does that make sense?
Your mouth to God's ears, Tim.
I mean, that to me is a no-brainer for one of those two companies to figure out and own the hearing aid or hearing protection on job sites. I think that would be brilliant. So, I think there's a tremendous amount of opportunity for growth with the company. And I'm not telling anybody to go buy it. What I am saying is put this one on your radar, go to their website, sign up for their email alerts and start paying attention to what's happening with the company, right? I mean, this is and do your own due diligence, right? Start checking out what the company's got. And I think this one is one you'd be happy that you found, right? A couple of years from now. I think I'm looking at this. I'm an investor. I'm not a day trader or a flipper, right? I'm looking for something that could be a 10 bagger, right?
I've watched you, Tim. You picked up Red Cat early, Unusual Machines. Before they got the big contracts. So, I see you've got a great track record of highlighting quality, and that's why I was excited to be here with AXIL and on behalf of AXIL.
All right, so this is what we're going to do. This is our first one. Maybe at some point we can get somebody from the other leadership to come in and talk about it. Maybe after there's a significant announcement or something like that.
Fantastic, Tim. We really appreciate the opportunity.
Okay, man. You feel as though I missed anything?
No, you're on point. I mean, look, this is about helping people in the long run, and financial discipline, good structure. I mean, I think you're on point. And the construction side, I love your outlook. I think you get it, and it's those personal experiences we have, like you've been through it, that makes sense, and bring it home.
Yep. No, this could be a good one, man. I'm glad. What people don't know is that you have a lot of capital markets experience, right? We're gonna have you back on. We're gonna have Todd on just to have. We're gonna talk markets because I think
I
it's really important that we do this, right? Does that make sense to you?
I appreciate it, Tim. I love this stuff, and it's not easy to find the good ones, or the management that has the patience to not take the easy money. It's difficult to find these, and it's important to want to be part of something that's got. I learned some things early on. Even when I was studying engineering, I would come home for the summers, and on my days off from caddying, actually, I would go watch my brother and his team uh, work with clients on the stock market stuff, and I remember they loved Apple at $7 a share. This was late '90s. I mean, no, I mean, to put it in perspective, $100 investment like a couple of years ago was worth $600,000. A $700 investment, 100 share. So, when you see things like that unfold, it changes the way you look at investing. So it's not easy to find. When you find something that you feel could last a generation, um, and change, really disrupt a space, it's what you look for. Um, so I've always been looking for that, and we found a few over the years. Thank God. We had plenty of mistakes. Listen, I've made. That's how you learn. That's how you learn. It's about the management.
Yep.
It's about the people behind the scenes that make sure this company doesn't have to take toxic financing. It's hard to find those people. The people that don't take big salaries first. Yeah, I think,
You mean the lifestyle companies,
well,
the companies that are lifestyle companies.
every chance that a CEO can do something incredible, and grow something incredibly, I'm all about major compensation for taking good care of your shareholders. The life of these companies is about the shareholders. It's I look at it like I call it blood money, I guess, because you got to think about somebody who's just your average person working hard to put a little money aside to speculate a little bit, or even put it in their 401k, and you know one of the institutions in their 401k come in and buy one of these stocks. You want to protect that shareholder and respect that money. It's important to me personally. So I love companies that do that and want to participate in the success because they're stakeholders and they hold on and value their stake. And they don't want to dilute the shareholders when they know it's not necessary. Sometimes it's smart. It's a smart thing to do if you have the right acquisition, or you're overvalued. Take some money off the table and stack up the balance sheet a little bit. But at a stage where I feel like we're just getting some recognition by the markets, the volume's picking up. It's a tightly held company, so you don't get these too many huge volume days, or you don't see tremendous liquidity right now because you just don't have a heck of a lot of sellers out there.
Right.
Frankly, and that's a hurdle that we'll overcome in time. It's just natural; it happens, and I think it's going to be interesting to see how it unfolds, Tim.
For the record, I don't think that a lot of these companies that go public, I don't think they intentionally, because let's face it, who got them to that stage of being able to go public? Typically, that's friends and family, right? I mean, they bootstrapped it, friends and family help, but then the friends and family get tapped, and it's time to go try the public markets, right? I mean, that's why you wind up going public. What I don't think well, there's a couple of things. Most CEOs, founders are really bad at estimating when they're going to get the cash flow positive. Number one, right? And the other thing is they don't raise capital when they can. They raise capital when they need to. And that's a recipe for disaster on Wall Street, right? Because if you wait until you need to, the leverage is not on your side, right?
You hit the nail on the head, Tim.
And
100%.
unfortunately, the financial institutions are going to take advantage of that leverage not being on your side. They don't care really about the company because their client is not the client that is looking for money. Their client is the institutional guy or the investors that they're going to go get the money from to get that financing for the company that's looking for financing, right? That's how it works. That's their client is the one that sets the terms of the deal for the financing, right? It's a brutal, brutal, brutal market. And I don't think most CEOs and founders know that until they get dragged through it. And sometimes it's too late, right? I mean, the financing is so toxic that they can't ever recover. They're in a death spiral, right?
It happens all too often, Tim. And I think the team that AXIL's put together, they're worth their weight in gold. To be able to to be able to stay away from that whole ideology.
Yep.
Yep.
All right, my friend. I want to thank you for coming in and sharing your perspective on AXIL. And like I said, I think people should put this one on their radar. At the very least, I've started to say this now because my friend Alan Evans said this. He said, just buy one share, right? And I thought that was one of the smartest things that a CEO has ever said because you're not asking anybody to go out there on a limb. But when you have a share, you will pay attention to what's happening with the company, right? And if the stock takes off, you're going to wish you had a bunch more shares.
But at least, like you said, having it on the radar, having a share in there, it keeps it serious. it gives you first mover advantage. You're watching the news flow.
Yep.
And when something big happens, you might beat the street.
Exactly. So that's why I say this one. I think you can feel. What are you risking? You're risking $7 right? I mean, it's worth the risk, right? To keep an eye on this story and make sure you don't miss anything. So, uh, we will definitely have you back when there's something of significance. I think this is a great story and one to start doing some due diligence on. So that's it.
Tim, it's been truly a pleasure. I look forward to meeting you out in Vegas at the next SHOT Show next year for sure.
Okay, brother. Hold on one second. I'm going to turn this off. Thank you for tuning in to another interview here at Alpha Wolf Capital. Today we had Todd McKnight from AXIL Brands Inc. I hope you enjoyed today's interview, and if you did, do us a favor, give us a like. How about giving us a share? And while you're at it, make sure you smash that subscribe button. All of those things are extremely important to us here at Alpha Wolf Capital, and we appreciate you taking the time to do that. Until next time, stay safe. Alpha Wolf Capital wishes you the very best of success.